Now, before I introduce face-to-face our guest this evening, I'm going to show you a clip from the Calgary Winter Olympics in 1988. And if you're too young to remember it, well, watch it, because it really was quite a moment in this country.
5 meters, he's off first in the second and final round. Here on the 70-meter hill, the fans are going crazy for Eddie.
They're saying, Eddie, Eddie, send down Eddie. And Eddie is whooping it up there. He's been waving to the crowd, starting to wave from the top position in the whole jump. Our friends here, we're doing good things, and let's enjoy ourselves.
On his way.
That jump looked a little farther. I think he almost got the 60-meter mark. His first jump was 55 meters, so if he can have a longer one here.
It really was. Eddie the Eagle, welcome to GBNews and
Talking
Pints. Now, as I say, for younger people who weren't around, they'll find this difficult to believe. But you were the centre of just some of the most, well, publicity on a scale. It was off the charts, wasn't it?
Global.
It was global.
It was.
And I remember one night at dinner getting into just the most heated, almost shouting match argument, because some said you'd made a mockery of sport, you'd brought the Olympics into disrepute, you'd made us as a country look ridiculous.
Yeah.
And others of us who were supporters, and I was one, big time, said, look, you know, he's the best ski jumper we got, which was true.
Yeah.
But I said, it's an amateur sport, and it's brought fun. It's people are watching the Winter Olympics who would never even have known they were taking place. But it really was astonishing, wasn't it?
It was, and FIS were very upset. They thought I was making a mockery of the sport and bringing the sport into disrepute in the Olympics. So they banned me from international competition, they banned me from the Olympics, they banned me from the British team, and I was never able to jump again. So, yeah.
You're never able to jump again?
No, well, I trained for the 98 Olympics, but and even though I reached the qualification, they still turned around and said, no, you're not jumping. And that was it. So I retired.
So where did this love of skiing come from? What happened? I mean, you're from Cheltenham, aren't you?
I am, yeah.
Not known for its Alps or its...
No, but we do have one of the biggest dry ski slopes in the country in Gloucester. And that became my home. I went on a school ski trip when I was 13, and I loved it. Of course, I loved watching Ski Sunday.
Yes.
And then went on that first ski trip, loved it, and then Gloucester Ski Centre became my home. I was up there every night after school, all weekend, all school holidays, and skiing became all I ever thought about, talked about, and dreamt about.
But the link between skiing and I mean, ski jumping, where did that was your way of getting in the Olympics, wasn't it?
Well, it was, yes. I mean,
Come on, fess up.
Yeah, I mean, originally I wanted to go as a downhill racer, because I got into, once I started skiing, I got into slalom, giant slalom, super G, that kind of thing. But at Gloucester, I used to do jumps, because they had bumps, and if I hit the bump hard enough and fast enough, I could fly through the air and do all these tricks. So I was quite comfortable flying through the air. And then I was in America racing, ran out of money, saw the ski jumps, and ski jumping was cheaper. It was costing me $250 a day to go ski racing, but $5 a day to go ski jumping. So I could afford that. And so I studied ski. So it was purely an economic decision. And then I worked my way up to the big jumps and qualified and went to Calgary.
I mean, in those days, you were Michael Edwards. This is before you became Eddie the Eagle.
That's right. Well, I was known as Eddie Edwards. It's my nickname.
Right, OK.
Yeah.
And who was funding all of this?
Well, I was. And
How?
my dad. My dad is a plasterer.
Yep.
I'm a plasterer as well. So I'm not busy doing PR work. I'm busy plastering and things.
Yep.
And so, yeah, it was that funded my way. And
so you were an amateur in absolutely the genuine sense of the word.
Yeah, I slept in cars, I slept in cow sheds, I slept in barns, I scraped food out of bins, I slept in a mental hospital when I was in Finland. Anywhere that I could rest my head to go to sleep, and then I got to the ski jumps. As long as I could carry on skiing and then ski jumping, that was my most important thing. And if it meant scraping food out of bins and sleeping in a barn, I would do it, because I
just loved
my
it.
Skiing. Yeah, I was so passionate about my sport.
You kind of fit into the sort of classic English eccentric almost. I mean, somebody who's absolutely fixated on doing it.
That's right. There's an element of that, definitely, yes.
And you're out there in Calgary, you do the second jump, which was an improvement on your first jump, and no mishaps, no falls.
Didn't fall over, didn't break my neck.
Some of the other lads did go a bit further.
They did.
And weight-wise, you were towards the upper end of this, weren't you?
Oh, yes, yeah. I was a beginner when I went to Calgary. I'd been jumping for 22 months. Everybody else, though, had been jumping for 20 years. So, of course, they were going to jump much further than me. And I was still, in that beginning stages. So, I was still, losing weight. But I was still probably 8 kilograms heavier than the other guys. But for me, the technique was the most important thing. That would get me further. And then I was losing weight gradually as I carried on ski jumping. So, but yeah, everything was against me. But I still loved doing it.
Were you a fantasist? I mean, did you just think you might just produce an amazing jump?
Oh, I was always, yes. Because, with ski jumping, you could just pull off that amazing, hit it perfectly.
So did you think we saw that clip, did you think standing there, I'm going to do this?
Yes. And I was gonna jump further than Matty, who won the gold medal.
This makes the story better. The wonderful optimism about.
And I always thought one day I will. I will jump further than Matty one day, but it never came.
No, well, you've got to have ambitions in life.
That's right. Got to have hope. Got to have ambition. Yep.
What happened when you came back?
Oh, I came back to Heathrow. And I was waiting for my bags at the carousel, and I had about 30 policemen come to me, and they said, "Oh, we're here to help you through the airport," because I thought they found drugs in my bag or something. And they said, "No, we're here to help you through the airport." And I went through the signs, and there must have been 15,000 people, and they were going mad and all this sort of thing. And then I was whisked to London, did the Wogan show, which was very popular back then.
Big news in those days.
That's right. And then my feet didn't touch the ground for about 3 years. I was travelling all over the world, opening shopping centres, golf courses, hotels, fun rides, doing TV shows, radio shows all over the world.
And you wrote a book.
And I wrote the book, yes, that's right.
Called On the Piece.
That's right. And My Story, Eddie the Eagle, My Story, I did that one as well. So, just took advantage of the fact that I got christened Eddie the Eagle, and it exploded. Yeah. And, of course, I wasn't allowed to ski jump. They wouldn't let me. So the next best thing for me to do was to embrace that kind of celebrity,
which you did,
Eagle,
and you loved it.
And I did. It was great fun. Travelling first class, earning £10,000 an hour. Who wouldn't love it? So it was great. I'm nearly earning as much as you.
Get out of it. Well, I guess it's better than plastering, isn't it?
It was, but I still do my plastering. Every once in a while, when things got low, didn't do much work, then I went back to my plastering was always my plan B, my default position. So I always had work. I was always able to pay the bills. But obviously the speaking and the TV and the PR work paid more. But when it died, then I had my plastering to fall back on.
There are lots of people who, for all sorts of reasons, find instant fame. It happens. You know, they can be a pop singer, a footballer, whatever it is, and they find instant fame. And perhaps they suddenly start to make money and you just said you had some amazing engagements and well paid. And did you have a good agent doing all this for you?
Yes.
Yeah, because that's really important, I guess.
Yeah.
A lot of people get into that situation, as I say, they make lots of money very quickly. Mm-hmm. This fame happens, and they can't even go and buy a newspaper without being recognised, and I'll go to the petrol station, or, hey, I know, because I was like the Panto villain for a few years. So, I mean, I got some love, and I got some real hate.
I bet you were a great villain.
I know what it's like. I do know, in a sense, what some of that's like, but... It often ruins a lot of people. It often wrecks a lot of people. They make loads of money, but they actually finish up owing money. They lose it all.
Yeah.
It wreaks destruction on their personal lives. How did you cope with it all?
At first it was great fun, but then after a while it kind of got to me, because if I wanted peace and quiet, I just had to stay in a hotel room, watch TV, because the moment I went outside, I was bombarded. And it was great at times, but the first couple of weeks, brilliant fun. But then it started to get a bit tiresome and all that kind of thing. And I'm amazed that I'm as popular now as I was 34 years ago, and I'm still busy and traveling all over the world and things. But it is tough, and I wouldn't wish fame on anybody, really. They think, oh, this must be fantastic being famous, but there are, it's not something you can turn off and on.
No, you can't just go for a quiet cup of tea.
No.
Or a quiet pint of cider, or whatever it might be.
That's right. It's with you all day, every day, 365 days a year, and so you've got to be prepared for that.
And what about the film? Because this film was made, and it actually grossed around the world. I mean, unbelievable. It grossed $46 million.
Yeah.
I mean, big stuff. How did you feel about the film? Did you feel were they a bit demeaning to you, do you think?
No, I thought they did a fantastic job. Because I signed the deal to make the movie 22 years ago. And the project just kept stalling. And then I did a TV show in the UK, Splash.
Yes.
And that was the impetus then to make the film.
Yes.
But Taron Egerton played me so well. And I think they did a great job. It's about 90% true, but it only represents about 15-20% of my life as a ski jumper. There was so much more that they could have put in the film, but they had to keep it down to a certain length. So what they did really well.
I watched it. I enjoyed it.
It still makes me cry when I watch it.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was great entertainment.
Yep, it captured the heart and spirit and essence of my story, and it showed that for me, the resilience, the tenacity, that never giving up spirit was my biggest tools in my tool bag.
And optimism.
And optimism.
Boundless optimism.
Yes. That's right. And I loved it. I really loved it.
And did you make any money out of this?
My ex-wife did.
Ah, right. Okay. That's a very good answer.
Yeah, she got all the movie money, but I've done quite well off the back of it,
Right. So life today for you is comfortable?
Yep.
But you're still working?
Still working.
Still doing a bit of plastering?
Yeah, well, COVID put a stop to my PR work. My work just stopped immediately, and it's starting to come back, but it's kind of stop, start. But I'm still very busy doing talks all over the world, talking about the Calgary Olympics and things. And then when I'm not busy doing that, I'm renovating a house. I've got permission to build 2 new houses in my garden, which I might do myself, or I might just sell it with the planning permission. So I'm always busy, I'm always doing something and enjoying life.
Now, tough question for you.
Yeah.
Winter Olympics coming up.
Yeah, Beijing.
Pretty much imminent.
Yes.
A few weeks' time.
Yes.
I'm not sure what the British team's prospects are, but it certainly won't get the publicity that 1988 got, I can assure you of that.
No.
Should we be going to the Winter Olympics given the way China behaves?
I think it's good that the athletes are going. But maybe it's right. The officials shouldn't go. I mean, there's 3 times more officials going than there are athletes. I think there's 150 officials, but only 50 athletes usually. So I think the athletes should be going, but maybe the officials they should be sort of showing some sort of we don't like what you're doing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, these athletes have been training for years and decades even, to compete. And why should they give up on their hopes and their dreams of competing at the Olympics just because what China are doing? But I think the officials, yes, let's form some sort of protest to say we don't like what we're doing, so we're not going to go. We're not going to support. So I think that's the best way. But
and that's
the
balance.
Go.
That's the balance you think that.
I would have been gutted if British Ski Federation turned around and said, "Well, you're not going because what China are doing." And I said, "Well, this is my life. This is my dream, and why should I give up on that? Yes, I don't like what China are doing, but this is my career." And
do you avoid, Eddie? Do you avoid politics and current affairs? I mean,
most of the time.
You must get asked a lot of times your opinions on various things.
I do, but I tend to ignore a lot of the politics stuff, and I just get on with my life, really. And
you just get on with being Eddie the Eagle.
I do. And I get on with my plastering as well, and get on with Eddie the Eagle work.
Property development,
that's right.
all the different things that are happening.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't affect me, I'm happy.
Can I just say, not only thank you for coming on Talking Pints, but thank you for, I think you've made a lot more people smile.
Yes, and that's what I wanted to do.
Than you've upset.
Yes.
And I think when books are written in years to come about, the 20th century and extraordinary little moments, I think you've more than earned your place.
Thank you.
And it's lovely to see you, and thank you very much.
It's my round next time.
It's on Eddie next time. Thank you.